Hey y'all, welcome to the OK Then Show.
Welcome. My name is Titia Owens, and I am the Madre.
And I am Chyna Elizabeth, and I am the daughter. And today we got a special guest.
Up in here. What's your name, huh?
Charity Caldwell.
Hey, Charity.
Hi, Charity.
Hi.
So Charity is here today. First of all, let me tell y'all a little bit about Charity. Charity is here talking about a very serious subject. However, she is a comedian 24/7.
Very much so.
She does not stop. Okay, then. So get ready for some information, of course, but a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah.
So Charity, how long have we known each other?
Since 2000.
One of them.
2015.
Okay, then. And we met because you were in a small group with my husband.
Yes, I was.
Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Well, yeah, because he was telling me about this friend at the in the class that was very animated and had a lot of personality. And then when I met you, I was like, that's her.
Yeah. Definitely.
Same thing when I met you. I was like, she's like me or something. I don't know, what is that like?
And so what we're going to do, guys, we're going to jump right into this. So the subject matter of the day is fertility and miscarriage. Fertility and miscarriage. And so Charity, again, being my friend, we have sang together too for a long period of time. And in those times of singing, we would always have prayer time and share about different things that were going on in our lives that specifically we wanted prayer for. And so Charity, I want you to talk about some of those instances that you had. So tell us first of all about the beginning. How did this whole go back to the beginning of when it first began and what you were going through and what you were wanting?
Gotcha. So to be honest, I never wanted children.
Okay.
Never.
Wow.
Always
Sounds like someone I know.
Oh my.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Since I was a kid, I grew up. There's 6 of us in the household. My mom was a daycare provider. We always had kids in the house. I grew up in a large church with several children. I was sick of kids. I was one of the ones. I can't wait till I get older so I get my own place. I ain't having no kids. So fast forward, things changed. Went in the military, got married, and I actually had gotten out of the military, lost my job, and at the time we decided I was going to go back in. So I lost a little weight, did what I need to do to go back in, went to the physical.
Went back into where?
To the Air Force.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was in the military in the Air Force and got out of the Air Force in 2004, was going back into the Air Force and was there for a physical.
Okay.
And little did I know I was there after the physical, I was going to swear in with everyone else. And instead of being enlisted, I was going in as an officer into the Air Force. So I did my physical, and right when all of us were going into the room to swear in, boom, the doctor came out, and I knew him. We used to be in the military together. He was like, "You can't go in there. I need to talk to you." I thought it was a joke because we joke so much. But he was there with another nurse, and they were like, "We need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Oh, y'all are really playing games." We went in the room. They're like, "You can't swear in because you're pregnant." I laughed. I said, "I'm not pregnant.
Wow.
Who's pregnant? Not me. I'm on birth control. Like, I'm not trying to have kids." And so he was like, "No, you're definitely pregnant. You have HCG levels that are at blah, blah, blah. And you need to go see a doctor. And you can't swear in. You can't come in the military even now if you. So I was like, okay. And so went to the doctor. We found out I was definitely pregnant. I was far along.
What is HCG?
HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin levels, basically to tell you how far along and if your baby is progressing well.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And the higher your HCG levels when you're pregnant, the more we know that the baby's doing well.
Okay.
So we found out initially that my baby was not doing well, but I was not surprised because I had been running like 6 miles a day. I was using hydroxycut to lose some weight. I had no reason to believe I would be pregnant.
Right.
But I had gotten pneumonia earlier that year. It lowered my immune system on top of losing a bunch of weight, and that killed my birth control. So I got pregnant, had no idea, was 6 months pregnant.
Okay. So you found out you were 6 months pregnant. You thought they were joking. So when you realized this was real, what were those emotions like?
I was all over the place. Even when I called his dad, because he was like, "You're not pregnant." You're like, he even said, "You play too much." Like, he hung up the phone on me because I play that much. And so I had to call him back, and I said, "Hey, don't hang up again. This is real." Like,
so they thought you were joking. They were like, "Hey."
Yeah, everybody. I thought they were joking, and then his dad even was like, "I'm at work. Like, I don't have time for this." So he hung up the phone on me.
Oh wow.
So I called back and said, "Wait, before you hang up, like, I'm really pregnant." So fast forward, we went to the doctor and they basically gave me all the bad news. Like basically what you've been hurting your own body and your baby has been struggling to live, which is why you have no belly. I had this tiny little pudge that wouldn't go away. I had almost flat abs, but I was like, why I want this little pudge? It was the baby trying to fight to survive.
Wow.
So within a couple days, they basically told me they couldn't find a heartbeat pretty early on, and they were just like, we're going to watch you for the next couple days. And it was a very small heartbeat that was there. And so within a couple days I came back and they were telling me, do you want to have a DNC where, they basically take the baby, or do you want it to go naturally? Before I got out of the parking lot,
Why were they offering that to you?
Because the baby was gone at that point.
Oh,
so I came back for them to check on the heartbeat and see there was no heartbeat, and they're like, the baby's gone.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sorry I'm moving fast, but
yeah, because let me slow you down a little bit.
Because I'm just trying to.
That's okay. So you find out you're pregnant,
right?
So with finding out you're pregnant, how much time
3 days.
3 days in between that they found out you were pregnant and you had lost the baby?
Yeah. So they pretty much told me when I came in, like, the baby's probably not going to survive. This heartbeat is very, very low. I had no movement the whole time before even I came there. I still had no movement.
Okay.
And the baby was very, very small, and they were like, the baby probably has all kind of progressive developmental issues.
Did you have a menstrual cycle while you were pregnant?
I did, but I have irregular menstrual cycles my whole life.
So you felt like if you had a cycle, it was not abnormal because that's how you lived already.
Right.
And that's a lot of women that have that same experience. And to be honest,
like I had a cycle when I was in the 6th grade, and then from the 6th grade to 12th grade, I probably had 2 or 3 cycles in between there. That's how irregular my cycles were.
Wow.
And then after I went in the military and they started putting me on birth control to try to get me to have cycles, it was still irregular. So I was not used to any type of regular cycle.
Okay.
So the pregnancy was easy to be missed because
everything was abnormal.
Correct.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I never knew when I was going to have a cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was baby number 1.
That was baby number 1.
So tell us more. Go on to the next thing.
Okay. So I was on my way to the parking lot after they told me that the heartbeat wasn't there, and I told them I wanted it to happen naturally. I'm just going to put some pads on, menstrual pads, and let it happen. Before I got out into the parking lot, I went into labor. So I had to come right back into the emergency room and basically push the baby out.
Now this was what was that time frame between the first one?
That was the first. That's still the first one. I'm sorry. That's still the first one.
Okay, so go back and say it one more time.
So they told me the baby was deceased, and that they were like, you can go home and let the baby naturally push from you, and kind of progress, or we can do a DNC.
And a DNC is what?
Is a dilation and curettage, and that's when they basically, it's almost like an abortion where they suction out everything and take everything out because
the baby from your body. Okay.
Right. So you don't have fever and
So they were thinking that was going to happen, but you ended up
right. And so I was going to go home and let it happen naturally, and then to come back and let them just make sure everything was gone. Okay. But I hadn't even made it to the parking lot, started bleeding, came right back in, and it all happened right there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, that I had went through so much. I mean, I'm going in the military. I'm not, because I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant for real. Go to the hospital. Your baby, you basically have killed your baby over the last 6.5 months. Thank you, but not your fault. Go home. You're going to miscarry this baby. No, you're not going to miscarry. You're going to do it right here in the emergency room. So it was like
a lot of emotions.
What is happening?
What do you mean?
Right.
But I think I went through grief. I did. And I knew, like, within just like a couple weeks, like I was like, I want a baby now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a mom.
So at that point,
I had no maternal instincts, no desire to be anybody's mama
prior
ever.
to you losing,
and all of a sudden I lose this baby,
now I want to be a mama.
I want to be somebody's mama. Yeah. All my life I had to fight. No, you didn't, because you didn't. Okay.
No, you didn't. So let's go. So that was baby 1.
No,
do you know why you felt that? Was it the loss that caused you to feel that way?
A part of it was the loss, but literally, like, I mean, I thought about it. I mean, my personality, just being reared by loving parents, being reared in a loving church, it like hit me. It just finally just jumped in me, like the maternal instinct, and I'm like, no, I do want this. I want this, but I knew I was specific. I want this one time. I don't want several children. I don't want 5, 6, 7, 12.
You just wanted one child.
One child.
Wow. You were telling the Lord what you wanted.
I was telling him. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Once again.
So after the spirit jumped into the maternal spirit,
right?
jumped into you. You
Could
then
be fruitful and multiply.
Fruitful. So what happens next? That was baby one.
That was baby one. And so just a couple months after that, and I want to stop it just right, say, my whole journey, I wasn't having problems with getting pregnant.
Got it.
It was more so I would get pregnant and I would lose my babies every time.
So you were
I was
miscarrying the babies.
The babies. Right.
Okay. So that you miscarried baby number one.
Baby
so
number
let's
one.
move on. Tell us what happened next.
What happened next was a couple months later, I got pregnant again.
Okay.
I had what I thought was a cycle, but it was just like a little bleeding, and I was like, "Oh, that was weird," just like for just a couple hours, and then it stopped. And then I started having like feeling these. I just went to the Dollar Tree, the green and white Dollar Tree, got a pregnancy test, and it said positive.
Okay.
So I went to the doctor, and they were telling me, your ACG levels are low, and it's early on. You're only like, 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
We're gonna bring you back in like 6 weeks and see what happens. And then I don't know why, but like something in me made me like shut down, and I didn't even tell his dad. And so, like 2 weeks after that, he was at work, and I work as a crisis intervention worker, so I would be.
So when you say his dad, are you talking about
his dad?
What's his name?
His name is Ron.
Let's call him that.
Okay.
Okay. So you introduced Ron, your baby's father, but
and my husband, right? Yeah.
Yes, your husband. So we're on baby number 2.
Correct.
And with baby number 2, tell us what that process was like learning about that.
Well, like I said, I learned really quickly just that I don't want to share with other people about this. I think my personality as a whole, I joke a lot. I do. Like, it's my coping mechanism. It's how I get through every single day. And I don't get very serious about a lot of stuff, just in general. But I decided that I'm not going to talk to anyone about this but God. My mama, nobody. Sisters, good friends, nobody's going to know about this until I want somebody to know about it.
Right.
I just kind of shut down and made that decision.
Did you tell Ron though?
No, I did not. No.
Oh wow.
I didn't say a word to him either. I just didn't want to talk about it.
Wow.
To be honest, I was like, it's my body, it's my choice. I mean, I love my husband, but I don't want to talk to anybody about this. I don't.
So baby number 2.
All the way to baby number 6, I didn't tell a soul. I was going to.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What happened to them?
Well, they were all kind of like the baby number 2, like just really, really. I would miscarry really early on, and I would know every time I was pregnant because just knowing my body and knowing these little cycles that I was having, because I would always have like some semblance of like a breakthrough bleed or something. It was almost like my sign, because I don't have regular cycles. So when that was happening, and I knew it was in course of when we had just had coitus.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I went to use that word. But anyway, I'm foolish. I know I'm foolish.
But anyway.
So right. So I was like, I know I'm pregnant. Right. Okay. Because we've been busy. But
tell me this.
Okay.
In those pregnancies.
Okay.
How long? What was the longest pregnancy term?
The first one,
which
6.5 months.
So the rest of them from that point
were
forward,
like at the most 2 months, maybe 8 or 9 weeks.
Okay.
So I was doing them back to back to back, and that's when I decided when we left St. Louis coming to Dallas. We were already seeing a reproductive endocrinologist at that point, and we were doing treatments. So I was getting pregnant, but I wasn't having a successful pregnancy. That's when I decided, okay, I hadn't still even told him about the other losses. I just knew we've been going at it a long time. Let's go see somebody. Yeah. So I went and looked in network, talked to a couple of friends, and a bunch of them said Emily Younghine at Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis.
Okay.
And she's the bomb. She really is. She knows what she's doing. So we were doing IUI, intrauterine I don't know, forget the insemination.
Okay.
Which is the old school turkey baster. You get his semen, you put it in your, and they hope that wasn't working. I think we did that 3 or 4 times, and then
you were becoming an oven, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I was. All right.
A whole oven.
That part, a whole oven.
Okay.
Dutch, not. But so that wasn't working, and so they were like, let's go to in vitro.
Okay.
That's when they were giving me all the hormones, trying to build my eggs up, make sure my follicles are good, so that they could take
Explain in vitro.
In vitro is when they give you the meds and get you all beefed up, get your body prepared for them to take your partner's sperm and to put it together and get you an embryo.
Yeah.
And then they can take your embryos and they can freeze them.
Okay.
Or they can take some right off the back and just go ahead, and if you're ready, your body's ready, they can implant them in your uterus and get you pregnant pretty quickly if the right thing happens.
Okay. Sure.
So we did that twice. And it didn't work. And so we still had 9 embryos. We had 9 embryos, so we had 7 left.
Okay.
So we insert new jobs. We're moving to Dallas, and so then I looked up a couple people. Started going to a group called Resolve. Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki. Hey, Nikki. Went to Resolve. Went to a couple meetings, and they all were like giving me all this information. You need to try this doctor. You need to try it. Nikki pulled me to the side and she said, "Jerry, I really think you should try Robert Goldstein in Frisco." So insert Robert Goldstein in Frisco. Went to go see him. He said, "You want to have a baby?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm going to give you a baby."
What kind of doctor is Robert
He's a
Goldstein?
reproductive. He's a fertility specialist.
Okay.
He's a reproductive endocrinologist, just like Emily Youngheim in St. Louis. So, and like I said, he trained my doctor I came from. He actually kind of slighted her a little bit. It was like, "You couldn't figure this out. This was Asherman syndrome. She just keeps miscarrying." And so he said, "We're going to do some unorthodox. We're going to scrape your uterine lining, and we're not going to wait 30 days. We're going to do it in like a week, and we're not going to let it heal. We're going to let it be fresh, and we're going to put an
So why
embryo."
did we have to scrape your lining?
Because I have scar tissue, Asherman syndrome. So I have scar tissue everywhere. It
Tissue.
just grows rapidly, and it messes up everything when you're
Okay.
trying to have a baby, clearly.
Okay.
And so he scraped it, and he said, "We're going to take your frozen embryos, and
Okay.
how many do you want to put in to see if we can get a live birth? Because they can either all take, or it might be only one that takes." So we kind of had to do a huddle, Ron and I, like, what we doing? Because I mean, you want a football team, or you just want, 1-to-1? So we came up with 2 embryos.
Okay.
And so we knew we really setting ourselves up to have twins, right? Right. With, okay, you sure? Yeah. So we
Where are we at this point with
we're
babies?
at this point we now have implanted through in vitro 2 embryos.
Okay.
And
But
so
what pregnancy is this?
this is pregnancy number 6 and 7.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 7 and 8. We've
Okay.
lost 6 so far.
Okay.
Now with this in vitro and putting the 2 embryos in, this is pregnancy 7 and 8.
So because they're in vitroing 2 babies. So
Right. They inserted 2 embryos.
So twins.
Twins.
Okay.
So they're either going to be twins or they're going to be, they're going to be 2 separate sacks, but they're going to be 2 babies.
But 2 babies we're trying to put out.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So we went to our appointment. Well, fast forward, I think it's like, I forget if it's like a week or 2, 7 days, and you take a pregnancy test. And if you're pregnant, then they bring you in and they do an ultrasound.
Okay.
So we were pregnant. We found out like September 29th of 2016, we were pregnant again. I wasn't like a shock. I'm like, I get pregnant. Like, well, that's not a big deal. Like, give me a baby. I'll be happy. Like,
Let me be
impress me then.
Right.
So I wasn't tripping, but I was just like, okay, Lord, here we go again. And I already had told the Lord, like, if we don't get pregnant this time, this is it. Michael Jackson, this is it.
This is it. Next.
And so anyway, that part, we went and we saw the sacks, like I said, and one was empty and one had an embryo in it. And I was like, I don't know if Ron knows that, but like we only have one baby. So I was waiting for the doctor to come in to tell him and to also make sure that my eyes weren't, I'm like, maybe it is in there, but it's tiny. But he was like, okay, just so you know, these 2 sacks mean you definitely were pregnant with twins, but one of them wasn't viable, and so you only have one baby. So
And how did you feel hearing that you only had one?
Well, when we got in the car, Ron and I, he was like, he actually was waiting for me, like taking point for me. You doing okay? I said, I'm all right. He was like, you okay that we ain't having 2 babies? I mean, man, shoot, I did not want. He was like, me too, man. Like, we was relieved.
Oh my God.
We was relieved because I mean, his dad is 13 years older than me. I'm not no spring chicken. 2 babies is a lot. Like we gonna need an altar call. We gonna need a nanny. We gonna need a lot more money. I mean, I'm gonna have to pick up a 3rd job. I mean, I'm gonna be a private dancer, dance for money or something. How I'm gonna deal with twins?
I'm not about to play
But we only have one baby, and so we rode home like happy.
Not a shout out.
We
to
were
Tina
relieved, like, Lord, we didn't want twins. I'm gonna be honest, God. So we weren't sad.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Let me just go back a little bit.
Okay.
So we're at pregnancy 7 and 8.
But and it's really right. It's 7, but right. Yeah. Colton is baby number 8. He's the golden child. You know?
Okay.
So,
but the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Which of those did you share with your husband, or did
just
you?
Baby number 1.
That's it.
No, he didn't even find out until we were going to doctor's appointments about, and he never asked me. I think, and clearly that showed some dysfunction,
Wow.
Not with him, but just like him just kind of respecting, me being dysfunctional, not talking to my spouse is an issue.
And that's what I'm asking.
Let's put that out there.
You were suffering in silence.
Yeah, suffering in silence.
Going through that process.
Yeah.
And what was happening with you emotionally?
I just was turned off. I've been kind of one of those people most of my life where I'm I'm different. I know I'm different than a lot of my female friends. You know, they get all caught. Oh my God, I don't get really moved by it. I'm like, well, that's just the way it is. You know, a guy break up with me when I was younger. I'm like, okay, well, you know, I love him. I guess, you know, on to the next.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of been that child, you know. But it's funny. It's like I don't have all the emotions for my own life, but I have it for everybody else. So I'm a medical social worker. I used to be a paramedic, and so I'm running the fires. I'm like a firefighter. Like I run into fires. Like that's my job. But like for me, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty sad, but let's keep moving.
So we're at 7 and 8. The baby's 7 and 8. So you realize one of the 7 is no longer.
Correct.
So we get to baby 8. So tell me what that pregnancy was like.
So it was fine at first, and they pretty much told me, you know, you're 35. You know, we tried for 10 years. This is 10 years of trying to have a baby, basically.
Wow.
That you're high risk, and so we need to let you go see a high risk doctor. And initially, everything was fine, and they were just saying we're just going to keep an eye on things and keep going to the doctor, and just a couple months in, I think it was 3 months in, I had a little bit of bleeding, called the doctor, and then we had a big bleed. I woke up, I had a cramp. I thought it was just, I don't know, I had to go pee or something. I thought, went to the restroom and thought I was peeing for like, I was like, dang, this is the longest urination ever. It was actually blood.
Wow.
Didn't know I was sitting on the toilet that long and I was bleeding and I was pregnant with Colton. And so I just screamed for Ron. He came in there, he saw all he was like, oh my God. I'm like, wait, calm down. Like we gotta focus. Like, so I got him to call our doctor, and I got in the tub, put my legs up on the wall, and we put a comforter in the car. I put my legs up and tried to hold it as much as I can, but I bled for 47 minutes.
Oh, wow.
47 minutes. And by the time I got to the hospital, I literally looked like an eggshell. I was that much.
So what was happening with you spiritually? Like, what were you thinking during that time?
I had like a tiny moment when I was on the toilet and I stood up and I realized it was bleeding, and I freaked out for about 5 or 6 seconds. But I kind of snapped back in and said, no, okay, Lord, I know you're in control. If you're allowing this, you already know what's going on, then I'm okay. I screamed just so I can get his attention and wake him up. So when he came in, I had to gather him up like, okay, it's all right. I know it's a lot of blood. This is real bad. And I think I'm just, like I said, it's the social worker in me. It's the paramedic in me. Like, this is a problem. Let's just fix it.
Yeah.
So we called the doctor, and she said, you can go to Charlton, or you can go, and I'm not going to Charlton. They botched me before I even had a chance with Robert Goldstein. I had a doctor at Charlton poked a hole in my uterus, made things worse. So I said, no, we're going to take our chances. And so he got in the car, and NASCAR drove from Glen Heights to
NASCAR
75. And yes, he did. He did. You did your good driving. You did. So got there, and they were just looking at me. I looked pale as a ghost, and my mom was even on the car phone. But I just thought, finally, when they were pushing me in, that was the first time I allowed myself to think, I'm gonna get on this monitor and my baby's gonna be dead probably. I wouldn't allow myself to think it like the whole ride, because I was like, I didn't want to think about it. We got in there and they put that monitor on. He wasn't even moving all morning, nothing. He jumping around, moving. I mean, heartbeat, just, I was blown away. I'm like, Lord, like, I know you lying to me. I know you lying. I mean, it just blew my mind. And they were like, he's fine. Colton's fine. So we found out that day that his twins' placenta was still growing, even though the twin had dissipated back into my uterine lining. His twin's placenta kept growing. It's called a subsidiary lobe.
Wow.
So it was attached to my main placenta for Colton, and it was temperamental because it was kind of movable, and Colton would be sleeping on it, jumping on it. It was a trampoline for him. It was a little toy for him.
Oh my God.
Just, so every time
Colton
he
was
moved,
in there having a
he was in there having a ball. And so like, every time he's doing something to it, or if I move the wrong way, I'm dang near bleeding to death.
Oh my God.
So they're like, okay, you had one before, now you had this one. You're not leaving until you had this baby. I'm like, who not leaving?
So was it a full-term pregnancy with Colton?
Well, almost. I think we took him at 36 or 38 weeks. I don't know why it's blanking me, but
that's pretty much
they kept going back and forth. They kept going back and forth on, we're going to take him this soon. And, you know, when that happened, I think we were 20 weeks in. 20,
when you had the bleeding?
When I had the major bleed.
Okay.
And they gave me the spiel like, if this happens, you know, we can't do anything. You know, it's you and God, you know, so... So basically insert me now taking up residence at the Margot Parole building at Dallas Presbyterian. I live here now. And you know, Titia came and visited me. Several people came and visited. I was sick and shut in.
Well,
you will not leave, ma'am. You won't pass. Don't. And it was a journey. I had to sit down, and you know I don't like to sit down, Titia.
So when you had the baby,
I don't like to sit down.
let's talk about that. What was the pregnancy actually like? Because that was still your first time.
To be honest, it was. So the pregnancy was good. Like, other than just having these bleeding issues, every day they would tell me, like, you can get up and walk. You can't move today. Stay in the bed. Put your legs up. Don't do nothing. Hold them together. You know.
Okay, then.
Hold that baby. And so it was, I didn't like it because, you know, like, I like being in control and doing my own thing. But this was literally one time in my life where the Lord said, you going to sit down and I'm going to run the show.
Yeah.
So I had to sit down and shut up a little bit and listen to the doctor.
So during that time, even prior to you getting pregnant, that last pregnancy, what was going on around you? Because were you feeling like you had already said, Father, this is it. This is the last one. So did you start praying about it?
I had been praying the whole time, and I think I never doubted that he would give me a child. I think I had made up a decision, and it was probably going to end up somewhere on the back end that he would just allow a pregnancy if it didn't go that way. But I was just like, I believe you will give me this child that you said that I would have, but I don't see how we're going to keep going at this route, you know? So when it did actually work, I'm like, oh, well, here we go, you know? And then I think like about 2 months in, I knew. And God told me, especially that day when we were in the hospital and I had the long bleed, I was going to have a live birth and he was going to be healthy, strong, and fine. And from that day on, every little thing that happened, contractions, bleeding, it did not bother me one bit because I was confident that he was going to give me my live birth and my baby was going to be fine. And so I was a little stressed, just tired of being in the hospital.
Yeah.
But I never was believing anymore that I wasn't going to get my baby.
Yeah.
But I would always, you know, people knew on Facebook that knew me, I would just say, just continue to pray with us. This is not me begging and saying, y'all pray for me because I don't believe and I don't really have faith. And I say I love the Lord, but I don't, you know, I believe I actually was living out my faith.
And how was God speaking to you during that time? Like, what was happening?
The main thing he kept saying to me, to be honest, was sit your butt down and do whatever they say do. And I was like, okay. Because, you know, I don't like taking orders. But yeah, that part. I had a lot of people also sewing into me and praying with me, and you know, the chaplain would come in, we'd be dang there having a whole choir rehearsal. You know, it was a time I actually needed the time with God.
Yeah.
Because I get myself so busy serving others and doing things and getting busy, and he was just like, you too busy even for me. You need to get with nobody but me, you know. It was times where Ryan had to work and I was in there by myself, and he was like, I need you here by yourself with me. I don't even want you to go to the service because they had like chaplain services or whatever. Nope, stay in here with me. You know, when my brother O'Shea was telling me about the other day, you need to give some sacrificial praise to God. Yeah. You need to sacrifice time. And he's like, I'm giving you the time. You need to spend it with me. So I'm like, okay, bet. So, fast forward, you know, we kept progressing and we didn't even think we were going to leave the hospital. We had a problem where Colton wasn't coming down and that lobe wasn't coming down.
Before you tell that about the coming down, let's do a powder break.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need a little gloss.
I think
I was thinking that, but I was like, we really getting deep.
But we get deep into the rest of the
we
story.
talking about Jesus.
I feel like I need some water. I feel like I'm getting oily.
Is you?
This
my
all that you sharing about, it's heavy.
It's heavy.
This some heavy oil.
Let me dab in the name of Jesus. Dab. Jesus dabs.
There you go.
Those is Jesus dabs.
There you go.
Just a little bit.
So good though. So
It's so good.
That's
I'm
good.
loving hearing all of this. Such good information.
I want to know though, is that common for like the tissue?
The scar tissue.
Yeah, the scar tissue.
Now, to be honest, when I was in Resolve and active going to the meetings, I didn't meet not one person in the group who had Asherman syndrome like I did. I'm sure there might have been some people before me who probably did, and even on the Facebook group, I didn't see anyone. But the issues that a lot of women were having were like they weren't even dropping eggs every month.
Yeah.
Some women actually had a shortened cervix. I have a really good girlfriend of mine. Thank God she just had her baby. She lost 2 babies before she had her 3rd. So it was just women with so many different physical issues that was keeping them from having a live birth.
Gotcha.
And it's so common. Like I said, I saw it, you know, in my profession working in OBGYN.
Right.
And then meeting my own, you know, co-workers, friends along the way, years of singing and meeting. You know, we've been married 4 years. She lost 2 babies, you know, just meeting people on the back end. And then I'm just like pouring into them. Just keep praying, and you need to go see a specialist.
Yeah.
You know, and if you know, some people don't even like going to the doctor. It's like, well,
Yeah.
Well,
So let me ask you this though, because you talked about the in vitro part,
Right.
but was there ever a time when you and Ron were just trying to have a baby? Were y'all like trying to set schedules and going, hey babe, let's
we
be home
weren't
by
because
6?
it was no, we weren't. And the reason why we weren't is because I was getting pregnant and I wasn't telling him I was getting pregnant.
Okay.
So we had no reason to be trying.
Okay.
Like to actively. And his thing was, we talked about it. You know, he's older than me. He has 2 older kids. Hey, Sophia. Hey, T.
Hey,
so
Sophia.
to hear is Sophia. And so he just told me, I love you. If you want to have children, I want to have children.
Okay.
If you don't want to have children, we don't have to have children.
Okay.
So the fact that I knew I was getting pregnant, I wasn't tripping about or trying to do. Now, we did have to go once we did in vitro and IUI, intrauterine insemination. We had to start scheduling it so we can try to, you know, because
Y'all had to schedule fellowship?
schedule fellowship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That part. Yeah. Sometimes you got schedule.
And what made y'all decide on in vitro? Like, how did y'all get there?
It was more precise because we already, like I said, IUI is the turkey baster where they take the semen and they try to put it in there and hope it's going to go into, you know, and
Right.
But
And cook.
right. In vitro is that tiny little needle that they take when they take his sperm and your egg and put it together. They implant it. So they take this is the uterus. They take it and implant a baby, embryo in there and literally let it cook for real. You don't know with IUI, but with in vitro, with IUI, you don't know if it's going to take or not.
For sure.
In vitro, you don't know if you're taking out. But if you're going straight in there with the baby, you have a higher chance.
Got it.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
So we have our 8th baby. So tell me what the experience was like the day you went into labor, or what happened with
right.
that.
And so I knew I was never going to deliver naturally. And I knew that straight off because of the myomectomy I had. There was no way for me to push. There was not enough. They would have eventually had to stop and just do a C-section. So they scheduled a C-section. And basically I showed up that day. And I can tell you all the way up until that day, I still was like, nobody sent me the manual. Where's the manual to how do you parent? No one sent it. Barnes & Noble didn't have enough books. I was waiting for somebody else to send me the right book. And so even sitting in the room and they're like, we're about to go in. I'm like, I don't have the book yet. Are we still want to go in?
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm going to be someone's mom after today. Okay. All right. Go team go. So
That's hilarious.
yeah, so Ron and I decided that once we get in there, I'm going to take him. No matter what happens, I'm going with him so we can make sure he's taken care of. And Dr. Lauren Murray, I love her, top doc. Walnut Hill Obstetrics and Gynecology, she was there with me. Things kind of took a turn for the worse. So when they first went in there to try to open me up, I had scar tissue everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. They were like cutting and cauterizing. And then finally they took him out and I heard him and they laid him on my chest. And I was just like, oh. My baby, I'm somebody mama. How I'm gonna do that, y'all? What? We somebody mama. And I just still remember his
Who was there with you?
Ron was there. He was right at my head. And Dr. Lauren Murray, and they had a general surgeon in there, and there was a nurse back there. But Ron swooped him off, and then they told me, like, you're having some difficulty. So remember, we have Colton's twins, extra placenta, and it turned pesky on us. So because I have all that scar tissue, that and the placenta and Colton's twins placenta all grew all into everywhere and just totally embedded itself. Nothing wanted to move. So they were in there cutting and trying to, and then they were like, we're going to twilight you. So I was awake during the C-section, and then they put me out. They said, there's way too much going on. We need to put you out. And so I woke up, and it was like the third day, really, is the way I remember it. I know I woke up the next day, but I don't remember. It was fuzzy. It was like day 2 or 3 when I actually woke up from all the pain meds because I had an extensive surgery that went over into something else.
Okay.
Because of the other placenta.
Complications.
And that's something else. Like I remember waking up on that third day like, oh my God, I had a baby.
Wow.
And seeing him in the bed, I instinctively went up there, almost tripped and fell because I had so many cords. And I just picked him up like, this is my baby. What's your name again? Oh, Colton. Oh my God, I have a baby named Colton. Like, I tried to get him to latch. He wouldn't latch. And the nurse came in right on time. She said, ma'am, you can't. You have too many drugs in your system. If you feed that baby, you're going to put him to sleep and you can kill your baby. So I was like, wow, I can't breastfeed. And they were like, you got to choose between your pain or do you want to feed your baby? So I had to make an on-spot decision to give him formula. because I was in so much pain and I couldn't bear it. So that was a big deal to me. Like, I can't breastfeed, you know, like all this time I wanted to be a mom and breastfeeding, you know, and so that's something we deal with too. You know, you want to naturally go into labor. You want to naturally feed your baby and let them latch on, but you got these complications that come up, you know, and so.
What do you recommend to moms since you went through that whole process? Like, if a person is going through a miscarriage,
gotcha.
What encouragement do you have for them?
I would encourage them not to do what I did. Everybody's not me. Everybody doesn't have, you know, I don't know, just G.I. Jane. I don't know. I can't tell you. But what I would recommend is to go see your OB. Your GYN if you're trying to get pregnant. You know, if you're brand new, you just got married or whatever's going on, go see your GYN and make sure everything's good. And I would recommend also seeing them and then waiting 6 months to a year, like they say, to see, just try on your own. If it doesn't work, do what the doctors tell you. Go see a specialist. Go to a reproductive endocrinologist. Let them work you up. Let them tell you that your fallopian tubes are clear. Let them tell you your ovaries look good, that your uterus looks fine, and that you don't have this and that going on. And also check him out. Because men could have low sperm count. Men can have, you know, other genetic things going on that are messing with why you're not getting pregnant. So, and then I would just recommend that you have a good support system. I don't care if it's one friend, family member, somebody. We need to be, and I think, to be honest, I didn't mention that, but I was in therapy too. So I was talking to a therapist, but I was also going to a doctor. I just wasn't talking to everybody else. And that's my choice. You know, if I don't feel like I want to answer questions about why y'all been married 7 years now, 6 years, y'all still ain't got a baby, that stuff just gets to you, and you just it made me recoil. And so I'm just gonna work and keep myself busy doing stuff I know to do, to not think about the fact that I don't have a baby. I know I've been married 7, 8, 9, you know, and I don't have a baby. You think I don't know that?
So what kind of encouragement would you have liked to have
I would like to have had some people be a little more, somebody's impatient, but I would like to have had a little more, but I think it's the sign of the times. People are coming to the knowledge of miscarriages and infertility, and that it's coming to the forefront more. Whereas when I was coming, I never knew about anybody ever losing a baby, you know, until I was in the military and saw it myself. You know, literally firsthand. So I'm glad to know that I have women that reach out to me on a regular basis that know my story from different states, their friends, their cousins. Charity could just send them a number. Thank you so much. And I call and I talk to them and I tell them the same thing. Go see a specialist. Take your time. Oh, y'all just got married. You just trying. Bless you, baby. You just trying, you know, give yourself 6 months to a year, because you might just need a little bit of time to kind of, you know, and so, and if it gets really bad where you're like dealing with things like I was, therapy's great. Therapy's great. It doesn't have to be somebody at your church or your pastor. Like, go get your insurance and get your referral, or just call somebody in the community and get your referral for a therapist, because you need support while you're going through stuff like this, because it makes you crazy. You start feeling like you're less than a woman. Why can't I have a baby? This is something every woman is supposed to do. So that's what I would do. I would encourage you to have support, medical assistance, you know, professional medical help. And that's okay. You know.
Well, I think it's time for us to meet the miracle baby. I want us to meet baby number 8. This young man is a superstar. He is a little minister. He is so strong in the Lord, forever praying and knowing about the Lord and praying. I've seen him praying online and talking about the Lord, and he wants to be an astronaut, if I'm correct. This young man, we want to welcome to the OK Then Show, Colton. Let's give it up.
Come on.
Come on over here, Colton. Come sit over here with us.
Step over this cord, baby.
Yeah, just sit on over here in between.
Hey, Colton.
He can sit with you.
Say hey to the people.
Hi guys.
So, Colton.
Yes.
How old are you?
5.
You're 5. And so tell us something about yourself. What do you want the people to know about you?
I've been helping my parents, and I've been working too hard.
You've been working too hard?
Too hard.
So how hard? What are you working on that's working so hard, that's working you so hard?
I've been having fun at school, but I keep having to do homework every day.
Okay.
Yeah, that
makes you really smart, right? Yeah, because you're very smart.
But now I'm going to a new school in August, because I'm going to the first grade.
Wow. That's awesome.
That is awesome. So did you enjoy your last years at school?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite teacher?
Yeah. I don't even know who's my different school teacher.
Yeah,
Right.
not your different school, your old school.
Who was your at Kingdom Collegiate Academy? Who was your favorite teacher of all time?
Miss Williams.
Miss Williams. Anybody else?
And Miss Roberts.
Miss Roberts.
And Miss D.
Miss Diffenderfer. Yep.
What's her name?
Miss D.
Miss who?
Miss D.
Miss D. That's what you call her, Miss
Miss
D.
Diffenderfer.
That's her name.
Okay, that's her name.
Because it's hard to pronounce
That's
her
her
name.
name.
It's Diffenderfer, but it's hard to pronounce.
So we call her Miss D.
We call her Miss D.
Okay. So Colton, do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a ship driver
A ship driver? That's really cool.
and a soccer player.
And a
I know
soccer
that's
player.
Colton loves the Titanic and the Britannic ship.
Oh.
So that's why he wants to be a...
So
So
specific.
you watched the Titanic movie?
I watched it with me and my dad.
Okay, and it was cool.
Titanic is amazing.
But
Yeah.
it almost slipped in the water, but
It did sink.
It did.
It
Yeah.
We can't even go on it anymore
Oh, you can't go on it anymore.
Okay.
because
go
it already sank on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, it's no
Oh,
longer.
wow.
It did.
It's
Yeah.
no longer.
That part.
Yeah. Well, Colton, we are so glad that you joined us on the show today, and we're even gladder that you're here. We're so glad that the Lord allowed you to be baby number 8. Do you know that you are a blessing from God? You are a gift
I don't
from
care.
the Lord to your mom. Did you know that?
Yeah, my other teacher gave me a gift card, and it said that he made his face on top of me.
That's all right.
He made his face on top of him.
That's wonderful. So, do you want to say a prayer for us today while we're on the TV?
Yeah.
Go ahead and pray for us.
Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day, and help us to be good. And thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for our blessings, and thank you for this word to live in this church to learn about God. And thank you for this beautiful day, and thank you for making us and making our house to live in our bed to sleep. And thank you for making me. And thank you for making my other parents. And amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
That was awesome.
Well, Charity, do you want to share a word with the people to that mom or that future mom
Yeah.
that you want to encourage just to whatever it is that you are led to say?
I just want to encourage every woman out here, whether you're looking to get married and wanting to have a family, or you're married and you're trying to have a baby. Just be encouraged that your journey is yours, and find some support. Get you a good PCP, get you a good GYN and a good OB, and just kind of buckle in and don't belittle yourself. Don't ever feel less than because something's happening. It's not going according to your plan. Especially for believers, I want y'all to really, really seek the Lord when it comes to pregnancy, and allow Him to lead you in it. You know, don't just go your own way and be like me and literally seek the Lord, seek His face, and let Him tell you what the journey is going to be, and He will be with you through it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Chyna, on the final note, what are you okay with?
I am okay with not knowing if I want to have kids yet. Because I just don't know. It's a sticky situation. It would be a blessing, but yeah, still. Go ahead. What are you okay with?
I promise I feel you.
Well, we want to be okay with doing what the Lord wants us to do.
For sure.
If God wants to give you 5 children, 10 children, I say be okay with it. Because they are gifts from God. That's all I'm saying.
Honestly,
That's okay. So, yeah. I'm okay with trusting the Lord at all
It's the
times.
shutdown.
I'm okay with Whatever God wants to do, I'm okay with it. How about that? I'm just so grateful though for Charity and Colton being here.
Yeah.
Chyna, why don't you tell the people what we need to tell them? Subscribe.
Subscribe, comment, like, share. Make sure y'all commenting y'all's experiences. If you had any infertility problems, let us know what you went through and how you overcame it and things of that nature. And make sure y'all come back and see us again next Wednesday at 9 a.m. You can listen and watch us on YouTube and on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Well, all right then.
Okay then.
Bye then.